Alright, let's dive straight in. It's Tuesday, and I know it's not every day we find ourselves talking about the team Celtic are about to face on the very day of the match. That's not going to be a recurring trend on this channel, I can promise you that much. But hey, sometimes it just lines up nicely, doesn't it? I pulled out this old beauty from the wardrobe today. A real classic. And no, before anyone asks, I'm not supporting Manchester City or anything daft like that. It's just that later on, I'll be having a wee chat with someone from the Cork #1 Celtic Supporters Club, and now maybe I'm wearing this just to win a few brownie points. Can you blame me? Let's start with Nicholas Coon. Looks like the lad's off to Italy. He was spotted heading off with his agent Fabian Dingler, looking happier than he has in months. He's off to sign for Como, and I bet this move's been in the works for quite a while. No bitterness here, genuinely. Coon's been a solid player for us, and honestly, I think we're getting decent money for him. The important part now is how we reinvest that cash. If all goes as expected, the deal should be wrapped up in the next day or two. Clean break, new chapter, that sort of thing. Right, shifting to the arrivals now. Let's talk about Michelanga. There's growing noise coming from Belgium suggesting he's close to signing with Celtic. Reports say talks have been ongoing for a while, and now things are picking up pace. Antwerp, his current club, are reportedly eager to get the deal over the line, especially since Balikwisha is entering the final year of his contract. Makes sense. They're looking to cash in now and jumpstart their own transfer business. Now I'll admit, when it comes to translated foreign reports, I always take things with a pinch of salt. You never know if what you're reading is a direct scoop or just someone echoing rumors they've picked up elsewhere. The journalist who broke the story is Johan Valkiers. I looked into him a bit, and he's got a decent track record, has worked in the industry for years, and landed a few exclusives before. Still, it's tricky. Is he getting this from a reliable club source, or is he putting two and two together based on the general buzz around Balikwisha? It's hard to say for certain. Either way, it's one to keep an eye on. Definitely a move with potential. Now onto the striker situation. Man, there's a lot to unpack here. Let's start with Giuseppe Ambrosino. He's a young forward currently with Napoli, and according to reports from both Sky Sports and Sky Italy, Celtic have made an inquiry. The club's exploring the idea of bringing him in on loan with an option to buy. The player himself is apparently up for it. He's only 21 and has already had a few loan spells. No shame in not breaking into the Napoli first team. They're one of the top sides in Europe after all. Last season, Ambrosino was at Frosinone in Serie B, where he managed 5 goals and 4 assists in 36 appearances. Not exactly a prolific tally. That's a goal roughly every 444 minutes. But there's more to this lad than just the stats. He played in the UEFA Under-21 European Championship for Italy, appearing in all 4 of their matches. He started one and came off the bench in the others, but here's the highlight. He scored an absolute stunner of a free kick in the 96th minute to level the score against Germany and send the game to extra time. A 30-yard screamer. That kind of moment tells you a lot about a player's mentality and ability to show up when it counts. So while his overall numbers might not blow your way, there's clearly something there. He's at Napoli for a reason, and he's being considered by Italy at under-21 level. Those aren't accidents. Still, you've got to balance that potential with the reality that he didn't exactly tear it up in Serie B, so the jury's out for now. But it does sound like this could be a genuine first-team signing if it happens, not just one for the future. Speaking of which, we've also got ongoing talk around Shun Yamada, the Japanese striker from Kawasaki Frontale. This one's been bubbling under for a few weeks now, and the latest from the Scottish press is that a deal worth around £1.5 million is getting closer. Could even be done by the end of this week. Celtic's track record with signings from Japan has been pretty efficient. Rarely much drama involved once the interest is firm. You identify the player, put a reasonable offer on the table, and more often than not the deal gets done. Japan's been a great market for Celtic. Good value, solid talent, and the players usually adapt quickly. So when we hear that things are moving on Hamada, it feels like one we can realistically expect to happen. But here's the thing, if we're bringing in Yamada and still pushing for Ambrosino, what's the plan here? Are we signing both? And if so, what does that mean for the rest of the strikers at the club? Right now, we've got Adama Callum, Owen, and Johnny Kenny already on the books. If we add Yamada and Ambrosino, that takes us to 5 strikers. You can't really keep 5 center forwards happy, can you? Especially when only 1 or 2 will see serious minutes. That tells me a couple of them are likely heading out on loan. It feels like Celtic are building out a 2-track transfer strategy. On one hand, we've got moves like Tierney and Negri, players who come in and instantly improve the first team. But on the other, we're making what I call educated bets for the future. Low-risk, high-upside signings like Inamura Owen and potentially Yamada. They don't cost a fortune, and if even 1 or 2 of them kick on, it's smart business now. Where some folk reckon Ambrosino could also fall into that project player category. But I'm not so sure. Signing a player from Napoli who's involved with Italy's under-21, when he would. That to me feels like someone you want competing for starts right now. So maybe we're looking at Ambrosino and Adama fighting for the number 1 spot, Owen hanging around as a potential third option, and Yamada and Kenny going out on loan to get experience. Makes sense, right? But obviously a lot can still change. None of these deals are over the line just yet. Yamada and Ambrosino aren't Celtic players at the time of recording, and we don't even know what's going to happen with Owen or Kenny. Adama's the only one locked in, and even his role could evolve depending on how preseason goes. Speaking of Kenny, Brendan Rodgers made some interesting comments recently. Said he wants Kenny to sign a new deal and that he'll be given a proper chance in preseason. It's clear they still believe in him long term, even if he might not be ready for a major role this season. A loan move seems likely, but one with the intention of him coming back stronger and staking a claim for a first team spot down the line. So it does feel like Celtic are hedging their bets, stacking the deck with young strikers, seeing who steps up and maybe striking goal with 1 or 2 of them. If that's the plan, it's not the worst idea in the world. And given the kind of fees we're talking, low risk for potentially high reward, it's clever squad building. We're going to pick things up in the next part with more analysis on squad depth, recent departures, and what's still needed this window. But what's clear so far is that this summer is shaping up to be one of the busiest in recent memory for Celtic. Right, picking up where we left off. And honestly, if you're looking at this current Celtic squad and thinking we're anywhere near finished in the market, think again. The depth chart tells its own story. You take out a few key names. Jodas. Still out Coon's on his way to Italy, Kyogo's long gone. And suddenly you realize just how bare things are in the final third. It's not a crisis, not yet. But if you're being honest with yourself, you'd have to say we're thin up top. Like painfully thin. And that's before we talk about it, injuries or rotation or anything like that. Let's put it plainly, right? Now we're looking at a squad that needs a right winger, a left winger, and at least 1 first-team ready striker. Not prospects, not maybe-in-day players, proper starters who can hit the ground running, the sort of signings that come in and shift the quality of the team straight away. And that's no slight on the business we've done so far. Tierney and Negro and solid additions. But we need more, and we need it fast. Midfield, I'd say, is holding up all right. Some might argue we still need another body in there, and fair enough, but it's not an area I'd put at the top of the priority list. Unless someone like Reo Hatate moves on. And let's be honest, that could still happen. I don't think we're desperate for reinforcements in the middle. But if one of the big names does go, obviously we'd have to react and bring in real quality. You can't lose a player like Hatate and not replace him with someone who raises the standard. Defense is another one to keep an eye on. I'd be surprised if Brendan Rodgers isn't pushing for another center back. We've already seen links with Justin Dees. Nothing confirmed yet, but it makes sense. And left back is still a glaring need. Tierney's arrival gives us real class there, but we need depth. Someone to push him, cover for him, or rotate with him across the season. These are the types of moves that take a squad from decent to dominant. And while we're on the subject of transfers, let's talk about the one that got away. Matias Fisk Garden. Now, this is an interesting one. Long linked with Celtic, the Danish striker has finally made a move, but not to Glasgow. He's gone to Norwich City. Yeah, that Norwich. Not exactly the glamorous destination many expected after months of speculation. That had him connected with big clubs across Europe. But here's where it gets spicy. Norwich apparently discovered a release clause in Fisk Garden's contract that no one else knew about, and swooped in for just under £7 million. A bargain, frankly, considering the numbers he's put up at Brøndby. So now you've got to ask, did Celtic know about that clause? Did we decide not to move? Or did we genuinely miss it while Norwich somehow spotted it? Because if it's the latter, that's not a great look for our recruitment team. We've been tracking this lad for ages, and then we get gazumped by a championship side. Not ideal. Hopefully there's more to it behind the scenes, but on the surface, it's not great optics. Now, before we wrap up the transfer chat, I want to bring attention back to what seems to be a more deliberate, calculated shift in Celtic's transfer strategy. Look at the types of players we're targeting. Ambrosino, Yamada, Inamura, Callum, Owen, all young, all relatively cheap, and all clearly identified as having high potential. This isn't scattergun recruitment. It's a pattern, a strategy. Build a pool of promising players, develop them, and if one or two become stars, the investment pays off big time. But what that also tells me is that we're trying to build a sustainable model. We're not just throwing money at short-term fixes. We're planning ahead, future-proofing. You bring in 5 players with high ceilings, 2 of them hit. Suddenly you've got stars on your hands for a fraction of what they'd cost fully developed. And that's the game Celtic have to play. In this market, we're not spending $30 million on a striker. So we've got to be clever. And this window's starting to reflect that. Of course, this strategy only works if we also address the present. You can't fill a Champions League starting 11 with maybes and hope for the best. You still need your Tierneys, your Hatades, your McGregors, players who are ready to perform at the highest level right now. So it's about balance. Get the prospects in, develop them properly, and make sure the spine of your team is strong enough to compete today. Now shifting gears a bit, I want to talk about something really special happening with the Celtic fan base, particularly in Ireland. This week's friendly in Cork is a huge deal, and not just because it's another match on the schedule. It's part of a bigger story, one where the club is visibly strengthening its bond with supporters across the Irish Sea. And that connection runs deep, always has. We spoke to Ian from the Cork #1 Celtic Supporters Club, and the buzz around this match is real. People are excited. From the locals to fans traveling from all over Europe. Belgium, Switzerland, Germany, even places like the Czech Republic and Romania. You'd maybe not expect it, but the Celtic support is truly global. These fans go out of their way to follow the club, spending their own time and money waking up at ridiculous hours traveling across borders. The least the club can do is show up and give something back. That's what this friendly is doing. It's not just about pre-season fitness or running out the legs. It's about bringing the club to people who normally have to work incredibly hard just to watch Celtic play. For the kids who've never seen the boys live. For the older fans who've supported from afar for decades. It means everything. And let's be honest, Celtic playing at Páirc Uí Chaoimh is historic. This is a GAA stadium. You don't just roll in and play football matches there every week. This is only the 4th ever soccer match to be played at the ground. That tells you the scale of the occasion. It's not just a game, it's a statement, a moment that people in Cork will remember for years. The timing of the match isn't ideal. A Tuesday at 6 p.m. is awkward for most working folk. But even so, we're expecting around 30,000 fans for a friendly. That tells you everything about the passion and the hunger for Celtic football in Ireland. And credit to the club. They're not just showing up and playing. They're giving back. The Celtic Foundation has been active in the area recently, and the club donated 10,000 euros to a local Cork charity. That's not small change, and in today's climate, that money will go a long way. Little gestures like that matter. They strengthen ties, they build community, and they show that the club sees its fan base as more than just customers. You've also got to look at what this means for the younger generation. Imagine being a wee lad in Cork who's never been able to make it to Celtic Park, and suddenly your heroes are in your city and your stadium. It sticks with you. That sort of experience creates fans for life. And long term, that's how you keep the Celtic support growing, not just in Scotland, but globally. One name that came up again and again in this chat was Adama. He's from Cork, he's wearing the hoops, and he's scoring goals. 20 goals last season, and he's not even a nailed-on starter every week. That's impressive, no matter how you slice it. He's got that look of a player who's still growing and still finding his confidence, but when he's on it and when he's got that fire, he can be unplayable. The match against Jester was a prime example. He absolutely tore it up that day. So, there's inconsistency there. He'll go a few matches without scoring. But if he can find that consistency, if he can make that leap, then we could be looking at a real gem. Hopefully this season's a breakout one for him. Not sure if he'll play tonight in Cork, but you'd imagine he'll feature at some point during preseason. And while we're talking preseason, these games matter. Not in the sense of results, but in terms of building fitness testing tactics, seeing which youngsters step up. Tonight's match will likely see a few changes from the Queen's Park game. Expect to see Callum Owen get some minutes. That'll be one to watch. The club's clearly high on him, and this is the kind of match where he could make an impression. Again, the fact we're playing this in Cork, in front of what will be one of the biggest crowds they've had for a football match in years, is a credit to the organizers. PARKHEAD is a cracking venue, and if tonight goes well, hopefully, it opens the door to more events like this. It's the kind of thing that brings the whole club and community closer together. So to sum it all up, we've got a busy window ahead. There's been good work done already, but there's still gaps. Important ones. Celtic have always built their success on strong recruitment, and if we get the next few signings right, especially in those attacking areas, we'll be in a strong place for the season ahead. But it's not just about the players. It's about the fans, the communities, the moments. And tonight in Cork, we've got one of those moments. One that will live long in the memory. We'll be keeping an eye on everything. The match, the transfer news, the squad developments. So stick around because this summer's only just heating up. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers fade south. He's been stirring the green and white corners of Glasgow this week, as speculation brews our potential summer gem in the shape of Tommy Conway. The young striker, who's made waves at Bristol City, is said to be trading Ashton Gate for the hallowed turf for Parkhead, sending the Celtic faithful into a flutter. Nay official word has come for either club, but sources close to the deal hint that paperwork could already be in motion. With a 21-year-old Scots-born forward poised to don the hoops. If true, it's a bold move by Brendan Rodgers' side, looking to add firepower and fresh blood up front ahead of a season that promises both domestic ambition and European. Conway, who cut his teeth in the English Championship, has long been tipped as a player to watch. Quick on the turn, clever in the box, and with a knack for finding the net, the lad's been compared by some hopeful punters to none other than Frank MCAVENNIE, a name that still sends shivers of nostalgia down the spines at Celtic Park fans. On social media, arena's shy about drawing parallels, with one cheeky tweet reading, "Tommy's got the swagger, the finish, and the looks. All he needs now is the goals. Is this the second coming of Macca?" Though it remains to be seen whether Conway can handle the glare of the East End lights and the weight of that famous shirt, insiders say the coaching staff are keen on his hunger, versatility, and raw potential, a real diamond in the rough type signing. Whether this turns out to be another Parkhead fairy tale or just idle chatter, one thing's for certain, the Celtic support loves a local lad with something to prove. And with a ghost of Lisbon and legends like MCAVENNIE watching the stage could be set for a new chapter in green and white. For now, we wait. But if the rumors ring true, Celtic may just uncover the gem that's ready to sparkle. On the biggest stage, hello fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.